This video is brought to you by Squarespace. Welcome back, everyone. I've got some viewer work that I want to share today, and this is a really good lineup. I'm really excited about this. First up comes from Bassem H. Boustany. This is called Emotions, a Photographic Journey Through Light and Motion. Bassem also enclosed a note when he says, "Hi Ted, I wanted to share this photographic essay with you, Emotions. It is a personal piece, made from a place of feeling more than planning, a quiet exploration of light, movement, and moods they carry. Your videos have always reminded me that photography can speak without explaining, and that encouraged me to put this together. No expectations at all, just a small thank you for the space you've created and the way you talk about the craft. Warmly, Bassem." Bassem, I really love what you're doing here. Your style is very unique, and I want to preface this by saying this. There is kind of this preconception, a lot of this is dictated by the camera companies and the technology that we've got now, that photos have to look a certain way, that a photograph must be sharp, it must be perfect in all aspects, and somehow there's a personality that comes out of this. And I think that your work here is showing us that clearly we can have something that's blurry, that has multiple exposures in it. This is one of my favorite images in here. I think this is just outstanding. Anyway, there's a different thing that you can get out of photography that is not what we would consider the standard. In fact, I think that this is well titled because there is an enormous amount of emotion that is coming out of this. I think this is really well done. Compositions are interesting. The double exposure or multiple exposure stuff is my favorite. And I think that you've got a very different way of seeing the world and something visually to say. I don't get bored looking through this at all. I kind of am encouraged to turn from one page to the next. I love the visual language that you've got going here and the geometry that's involved. This is really outstanding. I will link up to Bassem's work below, as well as everybody else in this video. Make sure you support your colleagues and check this stuff out. This one is excellent. Okay, so next up, all the way from Florida, this comes to us from Andrew Uloza. This is a book called Surf Slobber. I will read you a little bit of Andrew's note. It reads, "In 2024, I self-published my first black and white photography book, Surf Slobber. I spent all my weekends of a 4-year period photographing at the Hollover Park Dog Beach, nestled on the Atlantic Ocean near Miami in Florida. The place was full of energy, action, and unconditional love and fun despite the tough 85 to 95 Fahrenheit degree in the famous Miami heat and no shade. All images were shot as candid moments of life. I just finished printing selected images from the book and pursuing places to exhibit. For 13 years, I worked as a photographer for the press agency in my native Lithuania, later as a mural painter, press photographer, and photo editor in New York. The last 17 years, I've freelanced for the Miami Herald newspaper. I also continue working on my 2 other projects, which is street photography and landscape. Thank you for your time and consideration. Sincerely, Andrew." Andrew, I absolutely love this. Anybody who's a dog lover, I don't know how you can not love this. You've got a really wonderful style. You clearly have a lot of experience that I think has led into that. And I love the idea of journalism kind of being superimposed on this. What I really love about these, you have a unique style where you're getting vantage points that are sort of from a dog's viewpoint. Everything is down low, but your ability to capture the candid action that goes on here is excellent. It really makes this really cool. And like I said, this is a fun book. It's got a sense of humor to it. And again, I think that what makes these, it's sort of like one of the things I love about Jacques-Henri Lartigue a lot is the element of surprise that comes in with this. It's like the snapshot. I don't want to insult your work by saying it looks like snapshots, but when snapshots are done so well and you get that element of surprise in here, you're clearly an accomplished photographer and your skill set is excellent. So anyway, I really don't have much that I would have to criticize about this. I think it is outstanding. The black and white looks great. Keep me posted because I think it's cool that you're going to do some showing of this body of work. So very cool, and I'm glad you've documented this. So check my man Andrew out in the show description and get a copy of this. It's really good. Okay, I've got some other interesting work that I want to share with you. This one has a sense of humor, but it's very serious material. But real quick, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor today, who are the awesome folks over at Squarespace. How easy is it to build an amazing website in a matter of minutes? Squarespace has you covered. It's dead simple. Head over to Squarespace, hit get started. You can start by using Squarespace Blueprint AI and SEO tools, which will give you an impressive website in no time. Something unique because, you're not like other websites. Give your site a name. Next, you can build your homepage. We'll start with a few preset layouts just to get us going. Want to sell products like prints, books, maybe you make a zine? Well, you can feature those on your homepage. Create a few more sections if you want. Let's also give it a color palette.
There's a whole bunch to choose from. Just get us started. We can change this all later. Next, let's select the typography choices. Welcome to your website. Everything is set up and it's all ready for you to customize. Squarespace is built on Fluid Engine, the next generation of website design. Select Edit, and Fluid Engine allows you to drag, place, and resize any element on the page. You can snap these to a grid, you can make them float on top of one another, you can freeform however you like. You can even preview and adjust how the site looks on either desktop or mobile. The layouts are independent. Of course, you'll want a portfolio for your work. Creating an image gallery is as easy as dropping a folder of images on your web browser. Once uploaded, you can drag to resort, customize the look, and Squarespace writes all of the code for you. Everything just works and it looks fabulous. Want to sell your own prints, books, or zines? Flexible payments allow you to make the checkout process absolutely seamless when you sell products or services. You can accept credit cards, PayPal, Apple Pay, and in eligible countries, you can offer customers the option to buy now and pay later with Afterpay and ClearPay. You should try Squarespace for yourself. It's absolutely free, no credit card required. Just go to squarespace.com/AOP, sign up for that free trial. If you decide Squarespace is right for you, I can save you an additional 10% on your order by using offer code AOP on checkout. That's right, the code is AOP. So stop procrastinating, go build your website today. And I want to give a special shout out and thanks to Squarespace for sponsoring this video.
Okay, next up is this book, which I love. This is from Jason Gray. This is called Does a Parasite Know That It's a Parasite? And it's got this very quirky cover with a Dr. Seuss type vibe to it. This is actually a very serious subject. I'm going to read you a little of his letter. He says, Dear Ted Forbes, my name is Jason Gray, and I'm an artist based in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm writing to send you my photograph. Does a parasite know when it's a parasite for your review consideration? In short, the book asks questions about human impact and explores the concept of naturedness, good versus bad, nature versus anti-nature, authentic versus inauthentic, but with no geographic assignment. The book also features an introductory essay by Missouri Botanical Gardens William L. Brown Center Director, Curator, and Associate Scientist Dr. Robbie Hart. Dr. Hart's specialty is ethnobotany, which is the study of interrelations between humans and plants. Jason, this is a very difficult topic, and I think it's interesting. The reason I say it's difficult is I've seen people try to do something like this before when it gets into environmental types of concerns, and there's a certain look to it, there's a certain way it's done, and I don't think that it's approached in the same way that a lot of the more art-related projects are, but I think you have a very good eye. My favorite spread in here is this one, when you have, the trash floating in the water down here, but I can tell where this is because you've got the arch in St. Louis reflected in the water and the trees. This has got some really interesting compositions. I really like your style. I think it's very unusual. I like the fact that you've attacked sort of this topic, and you mentioned it in the letter, from various angles. I think that there's a lot of different things in here to look at and never gets old. I think this is really interesting, actually, and I absolutely love the way that the cover ties into this. I don't know why. It's just something it almost works with a sense of humor in a way, but man, I really appreciate the letter. He also mentions in here that he worked at the St. Louis Art Museum about the same time I was working at the Dallas Museum of Art when I started the channel, so it's kind of fun to connect with you on that. But anyway, highly recommended, Jason. This is really good work, and really enjoyed looking at this, so many thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. By the way, Jason also sent me his CV in here and a very impressive resume of exhibitions and juried shows and all kinds of things. Man, check Jason out. He's very good. All right, so next up is this little piece that's very cool. This comes to us from Venezuela. This is from Gustavo Sanchez. He also sent me some little prints in here. These are from the book, but they're really nicely done. I love the small sizes on these. Really cool. I'll share a little of Gustavo's note. It reads, Dear Ted, my name is Gustavo. I'm a Venezuelan photographer living in Buenos Aires, Argentina for the past 9 years, mainly doing street and landscape photography. I've been watching your channel for many years now. You inspired me back in the pandemic to make this fanzine. Since I had extra free time, I really enjoyed the whole process. I'm currently working on 2 fanzines now and a full photo book, collaborating with a few fellow artists. Hopefully I'll be able to send you copies in the future. Again, thank you for your amazing work and providing us with this space. Kind regards, Gustavo. He also notes, and I didn't notice it, these prints are actually stickers, so you can peel the backs off and put them on things. Very cool idea. Gustavo, I really like your book. This is fantastic. You've got a really unique way of seeing things. As I've mentioned before, Street photography is not easy, and there's many reasons for that. And I think developing a voice in street photography and something to say in that is not easy. And I think you've done a really wonderful job. You have a nice way of paying a little bit of a nod to past master street photographers. I'm sure you're influenced by Henri Cartier-Bresson, probably Eugene Smith, maybe a little bit of Robert Frank in there too. And I can see that in the black and white work. One thing that's really interesting to me, though, I do want to note is that when you get into the end of this book, the last section is all color. Your color style is really interesting. And what I find interesting about it is you have a way. It's very difficult to do in photography, as many people know, but when you are able to limit your color palette and then you can have colors that accent and create that little bit of punch. I think, like, for instance, this first image with the yellow is an example of that. Another one of my favorites in here, the candlelit scene, and then also the dog looking around the corner with this beautiful blue accent back here. Your color work is really, really good, and I kind of want to see more of that. And it would be interesting to find a way to disperse it in with the black and white, because a lot of people tend to separate those out. And I think that I mean, there are many reasons why. I kind of like seeing things mixed together sometimes. It creates a little bit more depth, some questions that are interesting in the compositions, but really nicely done. The only thing I would say about this, and you probably already noticed it, is that the black and white on here, and this is a problem when you're using a color printer, it ends up being a little bit green and white. It's got a green tint to it. And the way to do that is you actually need to look online. There are sources for it, but you need to get rid of all the color information and work with the printer on that. Basically, when you export an image that is black and white, sometimes Photoshop can leave color in there, and sometimes this will happen. So you can work around it with a printer. But anyway, we covered this in my zine class, but nicely done. I do love your work, so much appreciated. I will link up to everyone in the show description. This was a really good group of people today. I want to say this. I feel very lucky and honored that I have a YouTube channel and people send stuff in. I don't do a lot of heavy editing in here. Sometimes things are, maybe not on quite the same level as others, but by and large, the group of images or the group of mail that I get on a day-to-day basis is very good. And today's video is a testament to that. I am very honored to be in that position. It is not normal. And anyway, I'm really appreciative of it. So I will link up to everybody in the show description below. I will catch you guys in the next video. Until then, later.